In this series, we'll experience Maine through the seasons, covering 6 days of adventure travel as we move from the coastline to the ancient logging roads of the North Maine woods. Join us as we venture through the Pine Tree State and encounter plenty of challenges between the oldest lighthouse and the Canadian border. Welcome to the North Maine Adventure. We just got the tents all packed up and everything. Jeremy's cooking our breakfast right now on his tailgate, and I came down to look at our beautiful view, which does have quite a bit of mist going on right now. It's kind of hard to get sick of this, I'm not gonna lie. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Maine. Where the pines are tall, the fog is beautiful, and the need to return to every location we visit is a common theme. I'm Ken from Varsity Overland, and my friends and I are currently in the midst of an adventure we won't soon forget. But before we get too far into the weeds, let's step back and see how this journey began. Alright, so we just arrived at the Portland Head Lighthouse in Cape Elizabeth here in Maine, and it took us about 3.5 hours, I'd say, to get here.
Hey Ken.
Yeah?
I couldn't reach you on the radio.
Why couldn't you what?
Reach you on the radio.
Couldn't get me on the radio.
Yeah.
I had it off, I guess.
As usual?
As usual. I had it off.
3 hours,
Yeah.
no talking.
We'll go with that. So yeah, anyway. There's the, this side. There's the lighthouse. Let's check it out. Remember that beautiful fog I mentioned earlier? Well, the sailors along the New England coastline might not agree with that statement, as fog can severely reduce visibility. Of the 6 states that make up New England, Maine tops the lighthouse list with a whopping 66 lighthouses, followed close behind by Massachusetts with 50. The residents of Maine must be Star Wars fans, because when building lighthouses, they had to order 66. Don't laugh at that. So the setting for this lighthouse, having all the mist in the background, is pretty appropriate. Looks pretty cool. But there's also a lot of people. So who knew so many people would have an interest in lighthouses on 4th of July weekend? Definitely no way for us to predict that happening, I guess. Speaking of people, who are these guys I'm traveling with anyway? Jeremy, from the AT4 Overland Bound channel, has been featured in my videos dozens of times, traveling with his modified GMC Canyon AT4. Often fulfilling dual roles of camp chef and lead navigator, his strengths just so happen to be my weaknesses. It also helps that we share a borderline unhealthy obsession for Star Wars. The third member of this convoy is my lifelong friend, Rob, who I tend to blame solely for this whole overland obsession I've developed. You see, I've been camping with Rob for over a decade, and the year he arrived to camp with a rooftop tent, it was game over. Both of these guys are genuinely good people. Turns out overlanding isn't about the journey or the destination. It's about the company.
What happens when you're a content creator trying to ask your friends for help? It just took me 3 takes to walk up a set of stairs because I kept tripping on the same step every time. And now Jeremy's gonna give it a shot and see if he ends up tripping, but it's probably just me tripping going upstairs because I don't know how to walk.
While I practice putting one foot in front of the other, we continue to explore the history of the Portland Head Lighthouse. Along with being Maine's oldest lighthouse, in 1776, before construction was completed, 8 soldiers were posted here around the clock to warn the citizens in Cape Elizabeth of British attacks. Kind of ironic that what is now a beacon for ships was once a warning of them.
All right, so we're back at the trucks. We're going to head out of here, go into town, fuel up, supply, and then start doing the real fun. Get into the woods, hit the trails, find a place to camp. So let's get to it.
After stocking up on camp essentials like Pop-Tarts, we made our way into the Somerset County backcountry to air down and hit the trails in pursuit of a campsite along Misery Pond.
Holy cow. Just pulled into the campsite. Awesome. Oh, this is great. Holy cow. Look at that. So we just finished setting up the tents, and now we're gonna hopefully get our fire started because these horseflies are no joke. I was just saying to Jeremy that it is very reminiscent of New York. Was that last spring?
Yeah, except for this one.
This one, yeah.
The view's much better.
The view is making it worth it. I will fight 1,000 flies to enjoy this, but yeah, we gotta do something about them right now. Fire, food, relax.
We truly could not have asked for a better campsite on night 1 of this trip. Now, if only we could do something about the bugs.
Rob, what did you just notice?
There's no bugs. Where did they go?
There's no bugs.
They left.
So if they're not on me, and they're not on you,
They must be on Jeremy.
we gave Jeremy all of our bugs. I'm expecting to see him just like flailing around with his camera, like running around away from all the bugs.
It's like I said earlier, the destination is beautiful, the journey was fun, but it really comes down to the company.
Master Chef AT4 Overland bound.
Yes.
What's for dinner?
We're having some Hawaiian roll sliders on the Blackstone griddle.
Delicioso.
It's not lobster, though. We're in Maine.
We are in Maine.
We should be having lobster.
What do you think, Rob?
When in Maine, you should have lobster.
What are you doing? What are you doing in there?
I'm being smart and I'm hiding from these crazy little bugs.
Yeah, in case you can't see him flying around in front of the camera.
No bugs.
Slaps himself in the face.
Nothing beats a good meal next to a campfire with your best buds, as the sun sets in the background. Moments like this are exactly what makes overlanding so addicting to me. Constantly chasing after the next experience just like this. I knew that I had to stop for a minute and soak it all in. We drifted to sleep that night with the lullaby of a loon howling from the center of Misery Pond. And awoke the next morning to find a blanket of rain and mist had covered the campsite. I once saw an interview with Tom Hanks as he was explaining one of his favorite quotes. The quote is, "This too shall pass." And he explained it doesn't just apply to the bad times. It also applies to the good times. Which is something that I should have reminded myself the day before as we were experiencing that perfect sunset. Because this morning's rain was definitely not fun.
So, why don't we just have one meat this morning? Well, it's because Ken said that if I only got one, he would make fun of me for not getting the other one. So, here we are. We have sausage and bacon. Now I have a smiley face.
Rob said, "What do you want for breakfast? Sausage or bacon?" And I said, "I don't care. But whatever you pick, I'm probably going to say that I wanted the other one." So he made both. Well, technically, Jeremy made both. Master Chef AT4 Overland bound. Eating in the rain. We love camping.
Although the rain did make our cooking and pack-up process a tad inconvenient, we also knew it would help keep the dust down on the trails, which was perfect for the long travel day ahead.
We're rolling out of here pretty soon, but I will miss this. I'm definitely going to make this a point to come back to in the future. But we have a lot of driving to do today. Going to hit some more off-road trails, and we plan to go see the crash site of a B-52.
We made our way back to Route 201 to gain some cell service and plan our route for the day. We wanted to explore as much of the North Woods as we possibly could, but the B-52 memorial site was too close to pass up. So, we decided to go pay our respects and get in a quick history lesson. Kinda felt like I was a kid again and had to finish my social studies homework before I could go out and play. Hopefully, this would be the only vehicle wreckage we'd experience today, if you know what I mean. Seeing all this twisted metal dispersed throughout the woods is so eerie. My brain had a hard time processing the magnitude of the incident. I found myself wondering, was I interpreting the experience differently than Rob or Jeremy? Given their years of experience in emergency situations, I wondered what was going through their minds as we approached the larger wreckage. On January 24th, 1963, this U.S. Air Force Boeing B-52 lost its vertical stabilizer during a low-level flight. It crashed here on the southern slope of Elephant Mountain, killing 7 of the 9 crew members. A sobering reminder that at any moment, things could go south.
So Rob just scouted up ahead to see what the trail turns into, because it's looking pretty washed out. So I'm gonna grab my walkie-talkie, communicate with him. Rob, do you copy?
Yeah.
How's it looking? You make it up to the top?
Not all the way to the top. Trying to get a nice shot of you guys coming up and over this hill.
Oh, what a pal. Well, this has turned into one interesting trail. Very happy that I spent some time with OEX, the Overland experts, last week, learning how to properly drive off-road.
My rear bumper's got like 3 inches before whacking this culvert across the trail.
This is how it's been, slow moving. We went from maintained logging roads to unmaintained trails with some pretty decent washout. We got a really heavy downpour last night, which probably made this a little worse. That's the name of the game.
For those of you waiting to see the sketchy off-road driving, we are about to get started. Trouble is, the difficulty of the terrain never shows up well on camera.
Per Jeremy's suggestion, which is extremely smart, we are going to take this one at a time. 2 people are going to be on the outside with walkies. We'll see what Jeremy can do first, and then me, and then Rob. And if Jeremy has a particularly hard time, we will take note and be a little weary, because he's on 33s. Rob's got 33s as well, but his are skinnies, quote unquote, and I've got 32s, so we'll see how we handle this. What happens when you're using a long wheelbase. Something a little bit more narrow, maybe like a Jeep, probably would have been fine, but with our trucks, the front end is usually okay with the approach angle, but the departure angle, we've been whacking it all day.
Since these trucks are handling the rugged terrain so well, now might be the perfect time to run through each of our builds. Don't worry, it'll be quick. I'll give you the cliff notes. Each of us are driving GM trucks. In case you hadn't noticed, we didn't plan it that way, it's just a coincidence. All three of these vehicles have a 2-inch suspension lift from Northeast Off-Road Vehicles, as well as General Grabber tires mounted on Icon alloy wheels. They've also been equipped with off-road lighting for those nights we're hunting for a campsite in the dark, and various levels of armor. Rob's Chevy Colorado Z71 is running a front bumper from Warn, as well as a 10,000-pound synthetic winch. My Colorado ZR2 is running a front bumper from Fab 4s and a 12,000-pound synthetic winch. Jeremy's GMC Canyon AT4 may not have a front bumper yet, but he is running the most substantial suspension upgrade from Icon Vehicle Dynamics. Along with rooftop tents and various storage solutions, these vehicles are built for adventures exactly like this.
What is that? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Didn't think we'd come across this.
Wasn't supposed to be here.
Onyx is currently lying to us, perhaps?
There was no signage along the trail that said that there was a gate ahead. There was no signage that said trail was closed or roads closed.
We literally came up to that washed out section, the first one that was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at Jeremy and he goes, we're too close to the end of the trail to turn around at this point.
We literally are at the like around this
Yeah,
bend.
it's
around
right.
the bend is.
You got a crossroads, there's a sign right there. And ironically, we have to turn around. We have to turn around anyway. Oh, whoops. The chain broke. Just kidding.
It seemed as though Maine was beginning to test us. Just as we were starting to feel confident in our off-road driving and navigation, we experienced a turn of unfortunate events. As we made our way back up the trail, Jeremy's truck had a brief steering dilemma. Rob began feeling a little under the weather, and I discovered the limits of my brand new bed rack.
So the thing about driving all of these back roads, washboard, partially maintained or unmaintained sections is they can rattle your bolts like crazy. And my headache rack section there just came loose, and as you can see, it is falling down a little bit.
Ken, what's going on?
Yeah, so as you can see, the headache rack section of this bed rack came loose, the bolts fell out, and it was just dangling there with my fuel can. Now the T-nuts are still inside the channel on the side. Jeremy found those. But I'm having a hard time finding the bolts on the other side. I don't know where they are.
It turns out I neglected to use Loctite on the hardware, even though it says to do so in the instructions.
Alright, so I think what I'm going to do, since I found one bolt, I'm just going to put this back up with one bolt. I won't mount the Rotopacks, just pack it away when we get to camp later on. Then I'll tear everything out of the bed of the truck, and I'll look for the second bolt. So, quick fix on the trail. Be back at it in 5 minutes.
Sometimes there's no better way to learn than to make a mistake and live through the experience. After spending the next few hours moving at a snail's pace through the woods, we realized that we probably wouldn't make it to our preferred destination for the afternoon. We were hoping to get to a beautiful site called Gauntlet Falls. which is supposed to be one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the state of Maine. But getting turned around on the trail just cost too much time, so we elected to hit a brief section of pavement to make up some miles. And then Maine rewarded us with another stellar campsite.
So we just arrived at this campsite, which is pretty cool, right here on the edge of the pond. But Jeremy saw another one a little further back on the trail. So Rob and I stayed here while he goes to investigate and make use of the Rocky Talkies again, so that if he finds something better, he can let us know. We wouldn't necessarily be settling for this spot either, because this is pretty rad. So originally we were going to go from the trails that we were on earlier to a waterfall, but it was about 2 hours away, and just based off of some of the things that we encountered on the trail, we wanted to get to camp sooner just so that we can like dedicate some time to the trucks just to make sure everything's okay from those trails we were on. Jeremy's power steering is acting up. Part of my bed rack fell off the bolts. I got to bolt it back together, and just kind of take a minute to transition our mindset from trail to camp.
Yeah, so it dead ends just kind of like this other one. It dead ends to a dispersed site. Somebody's already there though, but then there's a gate that leads down to a private property boathouse right on the lake.
So I heard gate, I heard boathouse, and somebody already at the other spot.
Yeah, essentially.
So you gonna meet us back here?
As long as we're happy staying there.
I'm good. Rob, you good?
Oh, yeah.
It seemed the only challenge left to accomplish was setting up camp in the rain. I think there's something to be said about the power of a positive mindset. Things rarely go according to plan during trips like this, and yet those tend to be the ones that are most memorable. You encounter some unexpected rain, have a mishap on the trail, maybe even forgot to pack an essential item. But as long as nobody's hurt, I'd say it all just makes the experience better. We took a minute to catch our breath as the weather cleared up, and then got right to work on the trucks.
What you doing?
Just spraying my power steering module connector with some cleaner, because that's what's been causing my power steering issue.
All right, so it's gotten to about that time at camp. Things are finally set up. We're slowing down. Jeremy was just tending to his power steering issue, so I figured I should probably tend to my bed rack issue. So I pulled everything out of the bed of the truck, mostly everything out of the bed of the truck, so I have some room to work. I need to disconnect the bolts in the center so I can extend it so it can fit back into position properly. I actually need to take all the brackets that I put on this thing, the L brackets, the Rotopax bracket, I need to actually put it on the other side.
There's an old saying that I've heard repeatedly throughout my life, but had never truly took to heart until I began overlanding. The saying goes, procrastination is the thief of time. It means putting things off ultimately causes you to lose more time or waste more time in the end. For example, If I had stopped to check my equipment at camp that morning, or while we were rattling down the trail, this fix might have been avoided. It may be a small-scale example, but the lesson is the same. Always make time for equipment maintenance.
Thank you to Rob and Jeremy for offering their useful insight, making it work.
Dinner time!
Dinner time.
Dinner time!
Perfect timing, sir.
Food's ready.
Alright folks, well the sun is setting. Any major damage that we sustained on the trail today has been remedied. I took care of my bed rack. Jeremy was able to take a look at the wiring for his power steering. Everything seems to be okay. And other than that, the only damage that we sustained was all 3 of our rear bumpers got hit in the exact same place, going over the exact same obstacle. Which makes sense because 3 of our trucks are essentially the same trucks. Rob and I have Colorados, Jeremy has GMC Canyon. It's all the same. Wheelbase is the same. The rear bumper issue would be the same, right? So anyway, camp process is winding down. Sun is starting to set. We are probably going to get up fairly early tomorrow, so we're going to be hitting the bed pretty soon. And the goal for the morning is to get up early enough to possibly hit that waterfall that we were not able to reach today. And maybe if we get up early enough, we'll be able to see some wildlife. I would love to see a moose while I'm up here in Maine. I understand, kind of a long shot. Everybody always expects to come up here and find moose every 5 feet, and maybe you don't. I'd love to. So I imagine early in the morning would be more likely. Anyway, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow, and be ready for another day of adventure.
We were up bright and early on day 3 to make the most of our time left here in Maine. I don't think the guys believed me the night before when I told them I'd set my alarm for 5 a.m. I was beginning to get concerned that I didn't hear any movement from their vehicles. Ironically, they got up about 20 minutes later and still were able to pack up faster than I was. We left camp around 6 a.m. and after having some fun with the drone, stumbled across one of Maine's most iconic logging roads.
So we have stopped here at this intersection because we are about to turn onto something called the Golden Road, which is one of the most popular trail slash dirt roads in Maine. And it's quite long. How long is it exactly, Jeremy? Do you know?
I want to say it's 96 miles.
Yeah, it was 90
and
something.
We're only going to be on it for about 38.
Yeah, so we're going to do a very small section of the Golden Road, but what do you think? Should we make a point to return to complete the whole Golden Road at some point? Yes. Maybe a little foreshadowing, hint hint, wink wink.
And yeah, by the end of the day, we would have an entire return trip planned out just to go back to Maine and tackle the Golden Road in mid-October. Luckily, you won't have to wait very long to see it, as we'll be transitioning to fall shortly. Along with that comes a couple vehicle and equipment modifications, so stick around to see those. In the meantime, let's see what this section of the Golden Road looks like in the summer.
So, we've been on the Golden Road for probably only 10 minutes or so, and have already come across one of its many spectacles.
This fast-flowing body of water is the west branch of the Penobscot River. It flows alongside the Golden Road to eventually meet up with the south branch of the river, reaching a total length of 264 miles. Its seclusion deep in the North Woods makes it a perfect spawning ground for 11 different fish species, and is known as New England's second largest river, behind the Connecticut River of my home state. As we head further down the Golden Road, we'd find a dozen more opportunities to stop by the river, just like that one, which will come in handy if you don't have your suspension dialed in, because the Golden Road will definitely rattle your truck apart.
So, stop number 2 along the Golden Road. We just took this trail right off the road, probably a quarter mile off the trail, and there's another river view. Unfortunately, we got this no camping sign, so we can't mark it on Onyx maps to use as a future campsite, but at least it looks like a spot where you can do a little swimming, cool off, fishing. So far, in the half hour that we've been on the Golden Road, there have been plenty of sights to see, most of which are water-based, which is awesome.
Maine certainly has no shortage of beautiful bodies of water. And if you think what you've seen so far has been nice, one of our future campsites later on during this trip is going to blow your mind. For now, we'll make our way towards Gauntlet Falls and hopefully see some moose along the way.
When the guys say, "Oh, there's a moose up ahead," it's standing perfectly still.
Hard to see it through the woods.
But you're at the back of the convoy, so you can't see anything. Sweet. I think that's the third moose sighting today that I have completely missed. That's what happens when you're the caboose.
Just like everything else in life, traveling in a convoy has its pros and cons. It's a trade-off. If I were traveling alone, I'd probably be able to see more wildlife, but I like the concept of safety in numbers when I'm exploring a new area. Despite missing out on the moose, however, I was very happy to finally make it to Gauntlet Falls. Seeing the way the water has cut its way through the rock over time reminded me of a quote. "A river cuts through rock, not because of its power, but because of its persistence." I feel like this concept can apply both to overlanding and to my pursuits as a content creator. When searching through wild spaces for that epic campsite, you have to be persistent and keep pushing forward even when the road gets rough. And on YouTube, I'll keep making videos just like this, not because I'm looking for that one viral video, but because I truly enjoy it, and I know that over time, it'll amount to something.
You know, sometimes I feel bad that Jeremy's always the one cooking, but then I remember, if I were the one cooking, either we'd be dead, or we'd never eat, and we'd also be dead.
Yeah.
Delicioso.
After a quick lunch break at the Gauntlet Falls trailhead, we paid our fee at the North Woods checkpoint and made our way back to civilization. Unfortunately, our adventure time limit had been reached, and most of us had to return home to real life. But while airing up our tires at the nearest gas station parking lot, we made plans to return in the fall. Because this adventure is far from over,
So it looks like that's going to be it for this weekend of adventure up here in Maine. Originally, the plan was to say goodbye to Jeremy and Rob right now. Once we got into town and had service, they were going to head home to Connecticut, and I was actually going to head towards Lubec, Maine, which is the furthest east that you can drive in the U.S. But a couple factors are playing into my mind right now. My air compressor, my cheap air compressor, Amazon buy, has been acting up, so I just used Jeremy's actually to air up. I don't have a spare tire since I upgraded to 32-inch tires. I never got a spare, so that's been on my mind. The weather is a little questionable for the next few days, and my bed rack is just also on my mind. The fact that I lost a bolt, and I kind of had to wedge things into place and then tighten everything down. It's just I'd rather do it the right way. I'd rather have some time, the right tools, back at home. So all that considered, I'm heading home too. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to plan a time to return to Maine. We're going to tackle a few of the ideas or a few of the places that we weren't able to. So until we return.
I'd like to thank those of you who have followed our entire Maine adventure up until this point, and also promise you that the best is yet to come, because experiencing Maine during the fall season is truly remarkable.
So Jeremy and I were just driving. We're still like an hour and a half from our new campsite. We did have to change our plan slightly, but we were just driving and we passed this one overlook, and out loud I went, oh my God, that's beautiful. I messaged him over the radio and he was like, I think we need to turn around. So we are actually doing a quick pit stop just to take a look at this view because it is epic.
A word to the wise. When it comes to overland travel, it's okay to make one or two pit stops for a scenic overlook or beautiful destination, but that is only if you have the time for it. We, unfortunately, were running on borrowed time because we started late that day, and we would pay for it by arriving to camp in the dark.
I don't know if we can tackle this part.
No, I don't think we can go any further.
Jeez. That's like beyond washed out. That's deep down there. Holy cow. So, not only is the site that we wanted taken already, but we can't even explore further down the logging road, at least not in this direction, to find another one. So loop back, take another road.
Yeah.
Here we go.
This would turn into one of those situations where finding any campsite would make us happy. We pulled into a small clearing right off the logging road and immediately began setting up camp. You might notice that I'm running a different tent setup this time, and unfortunately we are missing the third member of our convoy. Because of some scheduling conflicts, Rob wasn't able to join us on this return trip, but we are confident that another trip up to Maine for the three of us is in the future. This is what us overlanders like to refer to as a hard landing. You settle for the first available spot you can find, set up camp in the dark, eat, and quickly go to bed, hoping that tomorrow will bring better luck. The choice to remove my rooftop tent in exchange for a Gazelle ground tent was made because of a few reasons. I wanted to experiment with a new configuration from the Kuat bed rack, one of the reasons why I like it so much, and also reduce some weight based off of our previous experience driving a short portion of the Golden Road over the summer.
So my goal this morning was to be 100% packed up before Jeremy got up, and I did in fact achieve that goal. I had the Gazelle completely broken down and in the bag. All of my stuff inside was all packed into the truck before he even got out of the tent, which I'm very excited about. Not that everything has to be a competition, but I assumed it would take me a little longer to break down the ground tent and pack away all the bags and like the air mattress and stuff I had inside. And I just didn't want to be the reason why we were leaving late this morning. So my goal was to just get up before him and be completely ready. So mission accomplished. And I was able to enjoy a bit of a sunrise while I did so. So we are trying to make up for lost time today, getting out of here real early. It's just a little after 6 o'clock right now. And we're gonna leave here, head back to the main road, Route 201, and continue heading north towards the Golden Road, which hopefully we will be able to experience in its entirety today, and maybe enjoy a little bit more sunrise in the process.
Today's goal was to make it to the Canadian border and begin our drive down the Golden Road from northwest to southeast. Since we were starting at the furthest point of the Golden Road, and the Golden Road is 96 miles, we wanted to make sure we had enough fuel. We'd later learn that exploring various offshoot trails would leave us with barely enough gas, so don't make the same mistake we did. And since the Golden Road is our primary focus today, why don't we start with a quick history lesson. The road was built between 1969 and 1972 by the Great Northern Paper Company, and was originally considered a private road only to be used by Great Northern Paper Company logging vehicles. In those days, all you would find on the road are big trucks hauling timber from the Canadian border to the paper company mill in Millinocket. Today, the road is open to the public, so long as we treat it respectfully. Just remember that if you visit here, the road is 96 miles of dirt and potholes. And fuel consumption should absolutely be on your mind, just like it was ours. But it turns out fuel wouldn't be our only concern, as the dense forest made flying drones a bit of a chore. Jeremy started the day by burying his drone in the woods, which made me pretty nervous because he's a better flyer than I am. I almost crashed my drone at a previous campsite under near perfect conditions.
So they say slow and steady wins the race, and I usually take my time flying my drone. Jeremy, on the other hand, has been flying like a maniac today.
Hopefully we caught that on camera.
Yeah.
I think we did.
He says to me, I'll beat you back. Starts racing his drone back. What happened?
A tree got in the way.
What'd you do?
A tree got in the way.
Yeah.
It just jumped out.
Just jumped out. A tree just jumped out. And
But guess what? Drone's alive.
Drone's alive. Yeah.
Hoping that the drone would be our only technical difficulty of the day, we decided to demonstrate some vehicle sympathy and air down our tires before even making it to the Golden Road.
I think we can speak to the quality of the General Tire because we haven't had to air down really, and I know I've been on these logging roads like 2 years ago, and I had a different set of tires, and they took a beating, and it was extremely uncomfortable. Yeah, it was no fun, but let's do this.
Let's do it.
For the record, we're not sponsored by General Tire, although that'd be awesome. We just really enjoy their quality and performance. And it turns out airing down at that time was perfect, because the side trails we were about to explore were a bit softer and messier than we expected. But braving the mud was totally worth it. We even stumbled across a potential campsite to mark on our map for future use.
Oh, look, you're filming too.
Oh wow, you're filming. Oh, who would have guessed?
Look at this camp spot.
This camp spot, yeah, this is great. Just took that little offshoot. I mean, I wouldn't call it little. It was definitely several hundred feet, but quite muddy. But this is an established camp spot. It's got a picnic table, a little fire ring. Trucks are a little drippy right now, a little muddy. Having some fun out on the trail, making sure these General tires get put to good use with all the wind and rain that Maine has seen over the last couple weeks. Some of these trails are getting a little muddy and messy, but it is certainly fun. It wasn't long before we found ourselves on the furthest section of the Golden Road, heading straight for the Canadian border. All right, so we made it to the border of US and Canada. It's actually right over there. So this is the official start of our journey on the Golden Road. Maybe get a shot of the Border Patrol crossing, and then we're just going to take off and start heading deeper into the Maine wilderness. So from here on begins our journey down the Golden Road. And of course, like any good adventure, we barely got started before I ran into a small problem. So already about 15 to 20 miles into the Golden Road, and you can see all these little divots and potholes, and in some cases full-on corrugations on the road, and it is just like rattle, 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 rattle. I mean, we have aired down, but I just wanted to point out, I came back here to go into my cooler and noticed that my tonneau cover actually rattled into the open position. Like it's still locked, but it rattled open. Very interesting. I can't imagine what it would be like if we weren't aired down with some newer suspension setups. Despite both of our trucks having suspension components that are barely a year old, there's only so much abuse that your other equipment can handle before it begins to fail. But unlike our last adventure through Maine, one of the components I won't be having an issue with this time is my Kuat bed rack. In the 3 months since our last experience on the Golden Road, I was able to disassemble the rack, apply the Loctite that I should have in the first place, add the tonneau kit adapter, and change the height of the load bars to add a more aerodynamic effect with my Gazelle ground tents on top. About 40 miles into our trek down the Golden Road, we stopped to have a quick conversation about the possibility of exploring one of Maine's other hidden treasures, the ghost trains. So we took a hard left off the road and into the woods. Just puddle after puddle after puddle. We get it. It's muddy out here. Oh my, holy cow. You're gonna want to see this. What? We turned the corner back there in the woods. The trail was so tight and narrow. No evidence of anything like this. We turn the corner, pull out, and Jeremy goes on the radio. Holy, well, he said a not very nice word, but we were both very surprised. Like, this is insane. And that is an established campsite. So let's keep that in mind. But wow.
What's that saying about not knowing what's around the corner, but pushing on anyway? I think this moment is a perfect example as to why overlanding can be so exciting. One minute you're worried about getting stuck in the mud, and the next you are awestruck by a beautiful view like this.
Of course my phone fell over. Why would it stay up straight? Urgh.
You thought I was going to get all sentimental on you for a second there, didn't you? Back to the adventure.
We took a turn off of the Golden Road close to 40 miles ago. We were hoping to get to the elusive ghost trains that are parked out in the middle of the wilderness. The trail that we were taking from Onyx is supposed to lead us down this way, but it's actually a dead end. There is no trail. It just it ends there, and then it's just straight, like wilderness. And we are currently mathing out the whole do we have enough fuel question. And to play it safe, I think we're just going to add the ghost trains to the we'll hit it next time list. We got to head back to the Golden Road, and with any luck, we'll find a really nice camp spot before the end of the day.
Before it gets dark out too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Please. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
All right.
It's about this point in the afternoon when the lack of sleep from the night before, coupled with the many miles traveled today, begin to set in. I can't be held responsible for what happens next.
What you see behind me is a giant pile of stones, left from the elusive Rockosaurus rex that roams these wildernesses. Occasionally, they like to cross the trail and leave their droppings for us to go over.
Listen, if Clay Croft from X Overland can wear his underwear on his head on camera during one of their expeditions, I'm not going to feel bad about being silly myself.
Man, this fall foliage is just stunning. At least I assume it is, if I could see it. Pulling over for a second to see if I can do something about this muddy window situation. Oh yeah, definitely worse. So I'm just chilling here on the side of the Golden Road. Jeremy left to do a little recon on a spot that he thinks he might have seen on Onyx. And I hung out here so that I could adjust my wiring situation. I've got like my drone and my phone and stuff all plugged in, but the wires were all messed up. And then I was going to grab some snacks, and some guys just drove by. They stopped. A couple older gentlemen asked me if I was okay, if I had broken down or anything. Everybody out here waves. Everybody out here stops and asks if you're okay. Like, it's so, like, it's awesome, it's cool, but it's also, my first thought was like, it's so bizarre because where we're from in Connecticut, like, people don't do that. People would just drive by. So that's awesome. But they said they saw 3 moose this morning and they're moose hunting right now, and I haven't seen a moose yet being in Maine. Any luck?
It's a grassy field.
Grassy field. All right. Onward. Cool beans. Onward.
While being slightly disappointed that we hadn't found a campsite yet, we were unaware that we were about to stumble across one of the greatest spots either of us has ever found.
Well, people, this is something else. I mean, holy cow. Holy cow. It's so quiet. It's so quiet. Like there's no wind. And all I can hear is like the sound of the small little like beady waves just going bloop as they hit the rocks here. Like it's dead silent. It's insane. I cannot believe it. Jeremy just said, you can overland for years and never find a spot this good. And yeah, I agree. This is just incredible. Holy smokes. And to see all the colors of the trees on the other side of the lake. Man. Worth it. So worth it. Rolling into that camp spot last night in the dark, I was thinking to myself, well, at least a campsite like that, which is just basically a flat spot in the dirt in the middle of the woods. I said to myself, at least a camp spot like that will make us appreciate tomorrow night's camp spot even better. And I don't think there was anything that was going to be as good as this campsite. So I think anything we had last night would have made us appreciate this more. Man. After taking in the view of this beautiful location, I had 2 tents to set up. One was the Gazelle ground tent to sleep in, and the other was for something else. So I just had some business to take care of here on the other side of the campsite, basically. And without getting into much detail, I just want to say that this Jet Set privacy tent from Territory Tents saved the day. Extremely easy to set up. As you can see, it's got the little hubs here on the sides. Simple, zippered, very big front opening. And yeah, I love this thing. I could pop it up in 30 seconds and do what I need to do. So yeah, I mean, if you guys have any questions about it, or if you want to learn more, you can always head on over to my channel and check it out. I've got a couple reviews on there. But yeah, I'm still in awe of this campsite. Look at this place. Absolutely incredible. Time to wind down and actually, you know, enjoy the situation. Looks like Jeremy's got a lot going on over here. He's already got a little fire started. Got his chair out. I should get my chair out. Time to turn into relaxing camp mode, as opposed to last night's frantic, hard landing in the dark camp mode.
Now I know what you're thinking. Where exactly is that campsite, and how can I get there? And honestly, as much as I'd love to share that information, I know that in the wrong hands, it could lead to some big problems. We're certainly not trying to be gatekeepers or reserve the best spots for ourselves, but the North Maine woods is almost entirely privately owned. And when travelers share great spots like this on such a giant platform like YouTube, it means that People who can treat it responsibly might find it, but then also people who might treat it irresponsibly will find it too. As the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. We spent the night by the fire talking about family, friends, and of course, future overland destinations. You know, the important stuff. Not knowing that it was the last bit of relaxing time we'd have at this campsite because the morning would be a bit more challenging. I awoke the next morning to the sound of rain hitting the tent. I was so uncomfortable from the damp, cold environment, I decided to pack everything into my truck and wait inside the cab for about 2 hours. A little after 6 a.m., Jeremy packed up his site and we moved back to the Golden Road. This wasn't exactly what we had in mind for the last day of our trip, but as long as we could complete the Golden Road, we'd be happy.
So we just left camp, and it turns out we have found the same spot on the Golden Road that we briefly visited about 3 months ago, which means we're more than halfway, right?
Way more than halfway.
Way more than halfway, which is a good sign. That's what I want to hear, because it is cold early, so I'm tired and grumpy, but it's cold, it's wet, and it is the final day of our trip, so we do need to be heading home at some point today. But yeah, this is the exact signage that I was standing in front of 3 months ago when I said we're gonna have to return to Maine and try and complete the Golden Road. And here we are. So let's get back to it.
Despite the mud and fallen branches, seeing the Golden Road go through such a stark transition over the past 12 hours was actually pretty cool. The dark skies might have dulled all the fall colors, but it brought on a dark, gritty, almost rugged feel to this section of Maine. And after a quick stop to view Mount Katahdin covered in fog, we were nearly at the end of the road.
Power lines and pavement. First time we've seen this in 60 miles. There goes mile marker number 4. Almost to the end. Well, folks, it looks like that is it. That's it. Golden Road. 96 miles. End of the road, Jeremy.
End of the road.
End of the road. We did it. 96 miles of the Golden Road, start to finish. I'm pretty excited. That's like a, I don't know, that's like a big travel check mark off of my list. That road was intense. Logging road, and I don't know, I feel like the trucks took a beating, for sure.
It was a lot of vibration.
A lot of vibration, yeah. I would say, I'd recommend, you know, the way that we went was definitely the way to go. Starting at the Canadian border, starting in the northwest corner, and then moving down to the southeast. Somewhere along the last 15 to 20 miles, we saw patches of pavement here and there. I mean, it was really poorly maintained pavement in some spots, but we saw patches of pavement, and then, you know, longer stretches of pavement. And then we hit a point probably 10 minutes ago where there was actually cell service. So ending in Millinocket is like a welcome sight, you know, starting on the northwest corner where there's no cell service. The road is so poorly maintained, it just rattles your teeth apart. You're truly like out there in the North Maine woods, out in the wilderness. Starting there, ending here is nice. This is definitely like civilization. We have arrived here, you know. Now we can actually fuel up with gas. We're, believe it or not, even closer to home. Driving home from here, we get to chop off like 45 minutes to an hour of our travel time, which is nice. So yeah, huge accomplishment in my book, I feel like, in my opinion. Very excited to have done this. So happy we came back to Maine. Doing the Golden Road during like the golden season with all of the orange and yellow leaves here in autumn is just chef's kiss. Just incredible. So incredible. I feel like that's been the word of the trip, is incredible. As you can also see, it is a cold, wet, and dreary morning. Kind of appropriate that we get to end the trip the same way that we started all of the Maine adventures back in the beginning of summer. We started with a rainy day. Now we're ending with a rainy day. So yeah, thanks for sticking around, everybody. I appreciate you watching this entire little Maine series. Head on over to the YouTube channel so you can check out more trips a lot like this one. Go check out Jeremy's channel, AT4 Overland Bound, so you can see his kind of interpretation or his perspective of this trip. And yeah, it's just, what a time. What a time. While sitting at the intersection of the Golden Road in Millinocket, we aired up our tires and took a moment to reflect on this amazing experience. And what an experience it was.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing. Won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
Time to air up and get back to life, right, Jeremy?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Couldn't have done this without you.
Couldn't have done it without you.
What a
Amazing
good time.
trip.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. All right, people. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Peace.
They say you are the company you keep,
and I am absolutely okay with that. Special thanks to Rob and Jeremy for making this adventure one that I'll never forget. Remember, a good friend knows all your stories, but a great friend helped you write them.